everybody, this is Cassie.
Yay, Waffle Boat. It's Wayne as well.
I was like, is he going to say who he is?
Yeah.
This is a guy talking in the background.
It's me. I'm here.
So we are here today to interview Jared.
Jay is better.
Jay, okay.
Yeah.
And his wife, Waylon, right? No. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You nailed it.
Okay.
You got
I get
You know what I'm talking about.
Just call everybody by the wrong names. This is like some guy we're like staying in his house, see what
This is
his life is
Zoo.
about. But we're here to talk to him about his game that just recently launched on Kickstarter. It is Remain Calm. It is an RPG game, and it is about post-zombie apocalypse thing.
Well, it's
about zombies. There's zombies. There's a lot of
it's basically
zombies.
about zombies, right? It's okay. So it is. It's a quintessential D20 game for anybody listening. It's just a roll big dice and make a decision. So it's like the simplified D&D or D&D 3.0 rules. And it's right now the story is set post-apocalypse 6 months after, but after this storyline, after the Run Like Hell storyline, we're gonna do one about how the apocalypse happened. So it'll be like people in their house and zombies outside. And it'll be fun, but we wanted to make sure the game was manageable first before we get that deep.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That makes
So
sense.
I don't play too many RPGs. I just started playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I've played Remain Calm. It was kind of like on and off because that was that day I had to run that event.
Yeah.
But so what makes yours different than if someone was going to? Because when people would talk about, or I would watch people play Dungeons and Dragons, be like, I have no idea what you guys are doing. And
Right.
that's
Yeah,
kind
it's
of confusing.
weird.
I don't want to even try to get involved because it sounds like it has too many rules.
The
So I
learning
know your
curve.
game is really. I guess it's a good game for someone that's never played an RPG before, for sure.
Yeah, I'm irritated with other games, and I think anybody who creates anything is irritated with the status quo. I think that it's like the Sam Walton idea that I could do this better.
Right.
I'm not saying my game is better because it totally is not, but I feel listen, I'm not the next scary guy gags. You know what I mean?
Differently better.
It's separate but equal. It's just its own thing. Well, basically, my beef was that before being a nerd was cool, I was tabletopping in a basement, no lie, in Southern Ohio. That's pretty much where all nerds start, is in a basement somewhere, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
It's like our version of a tavern. And
Just come over here in my basement.
Right. That's where I first took the quest. Anyway.
Free from ridicule.
Right, we're the prying eyes of people above ground.
Yep.
The
above grounders. Like we're warlocks.
Yeah, right? How dare they breathe the air? I need mine to be stale and smell like mildew.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and dirty socks, which is weird, but that's what our basement smells like.
Basement, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a basement. No lie, it's also where they wash clothes. So our D&D adventures always have the machines washing the
So
background.
legit story, never been in a basement.
You're a Floridian,
Right.
right?
I am a Floridian.
I forgot.
I've traveled, but I've never been in a home that had a basement in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Imagine
And
a
if I
haunted
did, it
house
was
that was also a castle, and then put that below ground. That's what it feels
Yeah,
like.
they're pretty dank.
They really are.
They're cold. I grew up in New Hampshire, so
Right, so
we had
you know
a
what's up.
basement that was the whole, the whole lay of the building.
Right.
It's just as big as the building. It's another floor underground. So
Yeah.
in the summer, if it's really hot, just go hang out in the basement.
Yeah, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, legit.
Earth cooled,
Yeah, because I'm from southern Indiana, southern Ohio, in the valley right there, and it becomes... I like to think Lucifer's armpit in August.
Oh,
It's just it's very hot. It's the things that really it is the gates to hell. Louisville is just north of the gates of hell. It's terrible.
It gets hot here, right? You've been here.
Let's get hot here, but not like that. Because this is where the Midwest goes to die. It's like an elephant graveyard for
okay.
Midwesterners. Right on my see that? She there you go.
So since I always have my cats making cameos, Jay
have
and his
a bunny.
wife have a bunny over here, and this bunny's all up in his coffee.
He's a
Dancing
coffee
on
addict.
keyboard.
Rabbits, rabbits. Oh.
Head fully in a coffee mug right now.
All right.
Pretty awesome.
Okay, so Pazuzu.
Oh no!
Swear to God, that's not a sound effect. That's my wife's phone.
No, that's
Sorry
cool.
about that.
We're good.
Okay, so basically the gist was that I started playing D&D and Shadowrun and Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah.
And those are like the quintessential entry level games, right?
Yeah.
But those are like, it's like you have to have a math degree to play them. Like it's college level math.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you start with like D&D 1 or 2.
Yeah, I just started D&D with 5th edition, and like I don't know if it's not like the people that I'm playing with are bad at explaining, but they've been playing for a while, and if you have to play for a while for you to understand. Someone's like, do a check. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Like what is
Yeah.
Do I need to roll a die? Like
right.
Die?
And then you feel there's always this awkwardness where everybody's staring at you, like, why haven't you done it already? There's this weird level of peer pressure that you thought it didn't exist in the basement until it does.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate that, and I think the problem with like the neckbeard society is what I call them, the elitist power gamers who. No, not your beard, because your beard isn't growing into your chest.
Thank you. Cassie calls it my neck beard a lot, and I'm like, it is on my face.
Right.
It's a face beard.
Listeners, in his defense, he shaves his neck.
I really do.
But the elitist neckbeard society keeps it this way, and here's the problem with games. Like, games could be enjoyed by everyone, because anybody that plays them enjoys them if they play it with the right people.
Yeah.
There's a kind of a common terminology
that's true.
There's a common terminology in D&D that you just don't have the right GM, right?
Yeah.
You got to get the right GM. I even said that to you in a chat, right? So I had a great GM who went on to be a novelist. So like I really was lucky.
That is pretty cool.
It is. And so like I kind of started it with that, but I felt like there was more that could be done with it than just storytelling. And then as I became an adult, I got distracted with other things in life, but I kind of this is the longest running hobby I've ever had. And
that's cool. How long have you been working on this?
Well, remain calm for 4 years, but I've been rolling dice since I was 15. I'm 34.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
I'm like your GM. Like I'm this old school power gamer but I hate them. I hate them because I don't hate them as individuals, but like as a peer group, like I just don't like them because all they do is pick on other gamers, you know?
Yeah.
And they're always like, oh, my game is better. Well, how do you know?
Yeah.
You know, like, so I wanted to build a game where if, like Cassie's never played a game, she could sit down and play it inside of 5 minutes and not feel guilty about it, not feel weird about it.
Yeah.
So it was important that, like, with Remain Calm, we started with, like, well, it's set in the real world. There's no magic or weirdness. It's just, you know, the zombie apocalypse, which is popular it's fading out now. But
still people are still like really into watching.
It's a recognized thing,
yeah.
Yeah, now it's a household thing.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah, so we wanted that, and that's been the goal, is just to make a simple system where everything is really easily explained, and you can kind of sit down and play. I prefer to always play with people who've never played because they don't have that neckbeard expectation of, well, what are the mechanics like? Well, forget the mechanics. What's the story like? Are you having fun? If you're not having fun, so what's the point?
That's how I feel too.
It's my number one thing with games. If I'm not having fun, I don't care how well designed it is.
Right.
Design is important, granted, but it's like at the end of the day, if I don't have, I got to get something out of it.
Right, and then truthfully, like we don't play games because we have nothing else to do in our lives. We could just go back to work if we wanted to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We
play games because we want to tell a story, because we want to be separated from the rest of life a little bit. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I love cinema and fiction and history. And
Wayne's all about that cinema.
What?
Yeah, no, for real though,
Yeah,
bro. I mean, I feel like if you're a gamer, you're also probably a movie file. You know?
Yeah, they're not mutually exclusive for sure.
For sure. And so like we just wanted to make something that was elegant but also like really playable, and you could pick it up in 5 minutes. So we designed an online system, no more hard math. You answer basically what is the equivalent of a Facebook quiz. It's like
is that what the beta?
That's
thing
what
was
the beta is.
So I made a thing, and it was like maybe 50 questions, something like that.
It's even less now. We're cutting it down. So like the goal is to have it done in 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So we've been timing everybody on how long it takes.
Yeah, so it would ask questions like, how fast do you think you are, or like how if you had to jump over a really tall fence.
So your attributes,
think
so your character attributes are sort of based on your real life attributes to a degree.
The goal is to actually let me say this. Like when we started, we were really hardcore about that. We were like, no, you really should play you, because everybody's got the like, what would I do if? Right. That was super popular for a long time.
Especially for a zombie apocalypse thing, it's like, what do you do? Where are you going to go?
Right.
How are you going to survive?
what guns are you carrying? Like, it's always,
Yeah.
why is it always about what guns are you carrying? Like, that's the dumbest thing ever. But we made it about that. We were like, okay, well, what would I do to survive? So that mutated because, okay, I got friends, and some of them love fast food probably a little bit more than the rest of us, and those guys are not out running into zombies. Catch my drift?
Yeah.
I got you.
So those guys, they still are going to buy my game, and they're still going to want to have fun, probably sans the cheeseburgers, right? So, like, it dawned on us that we had to make a system that was mutable enough that it didn't have to be you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's now so mutable that you could play German Shepherd if you wanted. We've done that now.
So do you have pre-generated characters in addition to... Because I know when you did the test run with me, you had pre-generated characters. Are you keeping those, or are you trying to bring it back down to just you play the character that you have, that has been calculated for you?
Well, we are going at conventions, yes, because if somebody maybe doesn't have a smartphone, it'll be like option B, right? Is you can play these pre-generated characters. Right. To that end, we're working with a miniature artist to actually make some miniatures of
that'd
our
be cool.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And so they'll come with a kit, and you'll that way if you've never played before, you still kind of know where you are in whatever game.
Yeah, I know you've had a lot of issues with people who are like, well, what kind of product are you making? And so they're looking for you to have an actual physical object. Right. Yeah.
They really are. Yeah, you're 100% correct. I took it to some game companies, local game shops and stuff. Right. And they were like, oh, this is such a great idea. You're going to put the rule book online, and everybody's going to sign in through Facebook, and everything will be you can carry it around on your phone, and oh, that's so neat. What are we going to sell? Right. And I was like, oh, I suppose you do want to turn a profit. Yeah. That dawned on me.
Well, why don't you explain how? So if someone buys I know you have it on Kickstarter right now. When does your Kickstarter end?
Well, we started on Halloween. We end the 30th of November. Okay. So we have 23 days left. Please donate. Yeah, right. And, what it is there's several pledge levels. If you give us $10, I'll give you a sticker. But if anything beyond that comes with what's referred to as a character profile. Okay. And a character profile, you'll log in through Metagames Inc. and you'll sign in with Facebook. That's going to be done next week, so I'm pretty proud of that. It's 2 clicks. I love it. You answer one quiz, and you start with that character that you generated. Okay. But after that, in your profile will be a character generator where you can then, because you bought the profile, I'm not going to be that guy who nickels and dimes you to death like an app. Forget about that. You can just make infinite characters after that. So if you wanted to make a new character, you'll get a character generator where you can plus or minus whatever you want in all your attributes, so that you can have fun and power game it if you want, or whatever. So you get that profile, and then to answer the product question, what we developed was the chapters. So that has a secondary answer, which is why do gamers cheat game companies? Why do we steal games? If you've ever played a game, you could probably get it online for free, right? Right. Why does this happen? Well, fundamentally this happens because a gamer will give you $10, but they're not going to give you $110. Right. And they're certainly not going to have their game go out of style, or have their game need a single rule update like 3.5 D&D. That's the most aggravating thing ever. And then have to buy another $300 in books. Excuse me, but just give me a download, right? Right. So we were if we're going to build a rule book and it's going to be community driven, then obviously it's going to get updated all the time. Yeah. And who's got the money to print books and then reprint those books and then resell those books? And who's got the money to buy that? Nobody. Right? And then on top of that, I love Paizo games. I love Pathfinder because it's the new D&D, but I don't have $50 to drop on a single rule book. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're pretty pricey.
Especially for a gaming system it's just text. It's not components and...
Yeah, there's no pieces, there's no... Yeah,
it's all ideas.
It's another $100 for the miniatures. You know what I mean? I'm just not gonna... I'm not gonna, Bunny is interrupting Bunny.
Little Bunny.
She's okay.
She won't eat the cords. We're pretty good about that. We got a pretty trained in back there. But, so to finish my complaints, basically, look, if we're going to push through an update, that means that it needs to be a digital rule book. It's going to be a digital rule book, and then it's how do we make any money at all to fund us going to conventions and stuff? So then we realized we just charge for a profile one time. then any update that our community builds the rule book. We've got a simple set, and then they build stuff on top of it, and then we just push out an update. Everybody gets it for free. You buy it one time, it's like $20 after Kickstarter, and then you have it. So then the game clubs were like, well, what are we going to sell? So that was that first part of the explanation. The next part of the explanation is you got to have content for your game, right?
Yeah.
So we were talking earlier about if your GM kind of sucks, right? Like, how do you tell a good story? Well, that's why Pizzeo Games and Wizards of the Coast and all the other game companies, they push out content for you to play down their official storyline, right?
Yeah.
We're going to do that too, and you basically have two choices. You can just download it for free, because you're going to copy it and steal it anyway, right? So I might as well give it to you and make you a fan, right? Because I'm a nice guy, and honestly, like, you can actually talk to the game creator. Like, that's the only game company in the whole world where you can just, like, be my buddy. You know what I mean? So, like, you're going to steal it anyway, and I recognize that. So if you want to buy something, what we're going to do is, as an artist, I'm going to pump out a bunch of paintings, and then these paintings will be the front of a GM screen.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Yeah. And then on the back of the GM screen is the whole chapter broken down in text. And then I also, you've seen the zombie miniatures, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you like 25, if not more, zombie miniatures that fit that chapter. And then if you want to buy that for like $20, I'll just send it to you so you have something. And then if you buy all the chapters, you end up with like 150, 200 zombies that you can actually move around. Then you have all these different GM screens. And then that's what those game companies can sell. And if you just want it for free, you can just buy it once and then just have everything. I don't care.
Yeah. That's cool though. I like that you're gonna have. Are you gonna do modules and stuff? Is that what you're talking about?
That's
like
what the
screens are gonna be. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Well, one of the things that like we really wanted to do is this nerd collective that we mentioned before the podcast started. I got two writer friends. One is an editor in Essex, England, and then one is an aspiring novelist. And it's really important to me that like as an artist, I support my friends are also artists, right? So they're writing fiction, and so we've got. Basically, the way the chapters are now going to break down is that they're going to be writing like a chapter of a story that you'll get with each module, and then that's going to get released. And we may be doing like a mini comic that comes
really
with
neat.
it,
Yeah,
right?
that'll be really neat.
That kind of like sets up the story. It doesn't involve your characters, but it involves the environment and how the environment got there.
Like I know you said that. So is it going to be like the 6 months prior to when the game starts?
We were thinking about that.
That would be so cool, like a prequel to the game.
Right, it kind of tells you, like, oh, I'm playing, like, on this highway. How did this highway end up in this situation? Like, we were thinking maybe writing the story around these comics that, like, kind of fill you in on, like, how these events got there.
That sounds pretty neat.
And then we've got a guy who works for Wizards of the Coast for Pathfinder and a couple other things who's going to do this massive world map for us, where, like, if you buy the chapters, you're going to get part of a map. And then as you put the chapters together, the maps start to link up so you kind of know where you are in relation to other events.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so like we've just done a bunch of work. We've just done a bunch of work to make the game feel like it's got real world context. And we also built into it something called the Continuum. And if anybody's ever seen the Pixar Continuum, you know what I'm talking about. Like all the Pixar, you don't know about this?
No.
All the Pixar movies linked together.
Did they really?
Yeah, no.
Having hidden things in them.
What?
Yeah, no.
Well, I mean, so we're talking like Easter eggs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's one story that actually created all the worlds in the Pixar universe.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, no, it's seriously mind equals blown when you see it.
Cassie's like, no.
Oh my God, what?
So we developed a storyline that goes through all 5 of the games that we're working on developing. So we have Remain Calm, and then a project that has already been officially announced. Nobody really knows too much about, called Outer Reach. We're doing a sci-fi mech, like, corporate takeover game.
Okay.
Somewhere between, like, Battletech Shadowrun, but with, like, updated rules, and it's very mech-driven.
Are you going to have it kind of go the same route that Remain Calm is?
Yeah.
Where it's a good RPG introductory kind of thing for someone that's never played? Okay.
The system will stay the same, so we're going to do what's the kind of the GURPS philosophy of keep it simple, stupid, except for GURPS got totally complicated. Baby, the rabbit is in the trash now.
Oh no, the bunny got away!
The bunny's in the kitchen. Will you grab the bunny? How? She slipped through the fence because she's a rabbit. She's slippery. So anyway, yeah, GURPS is an old game that developed this like huge, very cool but very complex. Like you were talking about, like you had to like have a PhD in GURPS to like really be able to play it.
Yeah.
And it's cool if like you could get that far into it, but like seriously, who's got that time, right?
Yeah.
So this is the same system. It's just still the D20, and it's based on this system. And the chapters, when they finally end, actually lead into the next game through the canon of the stories that we've worked out. Awesome, cool. So because of that, you'll be able to literally play in this universe and in that universe forward and backward in time.
That'll be neat.
And then we have one other that's not officially announced, tentatively called Lore, which deals with the pre-Ice Age, post-Ice Age civilization and how it we're going to do the Ancient Aliens thing probably. But like man's myths of how history came together. And that what's cool about that one is it's the real world, but in a post sense. Like you tell stories of how things came to be that aren't always true. That's how that game is. So there's going to be like monsters and stuff that never existed because people tell stories, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's all the same system.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So are you going to have, so you have Remain Calm on Kickstarter right now.
Yeah.
Are you going to have these other ones, do you have ideas about when you're going to have these other projects go on Kickstarter?
Well,
Or I know you're still kind of in the development process of Remain Calm, making sure you get all the kinks worked out by the end of the Kickstarter. So.
So the game is, I can say that the game is pretty much settled at this point. The only mechanics we're really working out now are actually our expansions.
Okay.
I'll give you a case in point, how cool would it be to play the Terminator Apocalypse? You know what I mean? Right? Wouldn't you want to do that? Isn't that awesome? Or how cool would it be to try to fight Godzilla in Tokyo? Right? So shooting a missile at it, how neat is that, right?
That would be pretty fun.
So we're doing these expansions. We've got 5 lined up, and they've already been announced in our group, so I don't mind saying what they are. We're doing the very first one up is the Vampire Apocalypse.
Okay.
Which I'm super stoked about because I love zombies, but I started with Vampire the Masquerade. Before they were sparkly, they were my favorite monster. That killed it for me. But we're doing the Vampire Apocalypse, and then we're doing a Werewolf Apocalypse.
Oh, that'll be neat.
Yeah, that one's gonna be fun.
Are you gonna have them all combined in one world? There's vampires and werewolves and zombies,
yeah,
just walking around and
We had to work out how they're part of the continuum, which was a pain in my ass. That was hella writing with me and my buddies. So what we basically decided was that there's really only 3 kinds of monsters if you think about it. There are natural monsters, like a flu bug that turns people into zombies, right? Okay, it's a virus, we all get it. Okay, 28 days later, technically they're still alive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but it's a zombie film, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's predanatural monsters, for example, aliens are predanatural, because we don't really understand the concept of aliens, and that's why it's alien. I know, you gotta keep her from, she's in the kitchen again.
No, why would you
Why would I don't know? Maybe she got away. I didn't know it was. I don't know. You saw her slip through there.
Yeah, she slipped through there, and that's how she gets.
All right, one moment. My bunny got away.
That's cool.
Close it completely.
Okay. So where were we? Okay, yeah. So that's a predanatural monster, it's an alien, because you don't understand its biology, but you get the idea that it's a real thing, or an interdimensional thing, or whatever. And then there's supernatural stuff, Nosferatu. It just doesn't have, the explanation is it's mythic, the fact that Godzilla has an explanation bugs me a little bit, because it's I don't care. It's a monster. I just want it to be frightening and fun, right? I like original myths way more than new horror, because new horror has a freaking explanation for everything, and we're losing the Alfred Hitchcock storytelling in that when we explain bloody everything.
Yeah.
So as far as Remain Calm goes, I'm not going to tell you how it started. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to hint at it. I'm going to give you a bunch of it, and then we're going to let everybody just come up with different ideas of how it happened, and then just whoever has the best idea, well, maybe that's how it happened. But the hints, I know how it happened. I wrote the damn story, but I'm not going to tell you, because it's no fun. I'll ruin the mystery, right?
Right. And even if you do know how it started, what does that accomplish?
Nothing.
Yeah. Unless you're going to break the game by solving the zombie outbreak, well...
Yeah, right, what's going to be the World War Z movie, right?
You're cured at the end.
Right. So it's the warm bodies theory, and then we're better. Why? She fell in love with the zombie. That was gross enough. Look at her. She's trying to get over
That bunny.
I know. My bunny.
She's determined. Look at her.
I'm going to rename her Sherlock Holmes. She's solving it. She's over there problem solving.
I will figure out how to get out of here.
Carry the 2. How do I... Anyway. So there's those 3. And what we do is we design monsters that fit into those 3 categories. And I'm a big believer in elegant multiplicity. So I want everything to kind of function the same way. Probably because if you're a gamer, you're probably a little bit obsessive. And so, like, everything in my game is divisible by 6. Not that you even care to know this, but there are... And I like symmetry. I just really love elegance. Einstein said, if you can't sum it up in a single sentence, you don't understand it well enough. So I can sum it up as, what would
it's
you...
this thing and it does something.
Right.
Sentences.
Right. So I can sum up my game in a single sentence. It was really a push for me to do that. It was, what would you do to survive the apocalypse? So that's really all it comes down to. But what I was saying about the divisible by 6 is, so we want. I think that if you look deep enough, you can always find what you're looking for, right? So if we watch, say, 100 vampire films, we'll probably be able to find 4 cliches for each one of those 3 categories. You know, there will quintessentially be 4 kinds of natural vampires. So there will quintessentially be 4 quasi-preternatural vampires. There will quintessentially be 4 mythic vampires. So, like, it's not hard if you try. And then so when we do, like, for example, the Keiju expansion, that one's going to be easy. Because then it's like, you know, what do we want? Well, you got to have the Attack on Titans in there, right? Because that's super popular. You got to have these...
Did you guys hear about the Marvel Attack on Titan crossover?
Yeah. Did you hear about the voice actors all going to be at Omni Expo that I am running the game room at this year?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we're going to be...
Where's Omni Expo?
It's in Orlando.
Oh, okay.
And every actor...
When is it?
I want to say it's in May, and let me...
Oh, no, is it going to be like a month after MegaCon?
I don't know. I don't know how they've lined it up. I don't know.
I'm just curious. It's the same weekend as MegaCon.
Definitely not. It's definitely not. Because we're all going to be at Mega the week before. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Let me just say that I've already worked out for the Keiju expansion an Attack on Titan game that will be running at the con, and that some of the voice actors may or may not be playing with us on video.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So, like, that could happen. Just go to the convention and find out. So, like, we really want to do that. And so, like, one of the things that we are going to do real soon, and I'm sure that you guys are going to be eager to be a part of it, is when we do the expansions, we're going to start little mini groups off of our big, like, 1,000-person Facebook group for the expansions. And all we're going to do in that is basically watch movies and then talk about them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I figured you guys would be interested in that.
Sort of like boil it down.
Yeah. You know, so we're just going to like get in there and talk about like what movies are best and like how to get to the root of that monster or whatever. And then how can we reduce that monster into something that's really simple. And then that brings us full circle back to how do we make it simple for a person who's never played.
Okay.
Right? So
Was that one of your goals, is to make it really easy for new RPGers to get involved?
Yeah, because I want to kill the elitist neckbeard society. Like I want them to be extinct.
Kill them all, just like.
Because the fact of the matter is, like, I have a lot of friends who would not consider themselves in quote geeky until they start playing a tabletop, and then when they realize it's not half as like cliche, like you can wear deodorant and still play this game. Like that's not like smelling a mile away is not a prerequisite to liking this kind of thing.
Anything is alright.
Yeah, it's okay to do that. Like you can have friends that like football and drink beer and still play a game. It's okay.
What?
Right? How's this possible? I'll tell you that beer is a big part of how I play. Like I feel more comfortable after I'm drunk. So
I think that's a good idea though, because for me, like I'm not the biggest fan of RPG games because of that. There's this, it feels like you have to get over this huge wall before you can even get into enjoying what's there.
And then it ruins it, dude. It's just like, look, if we were to say, what if a zombie were to break into our house right now, what would you do? What's the first thing you'd pick up? Would you defend yourself? Would you run away? You can answer those questions really simply. Mm-hmm. Anybody that watches The Walking Dead for one episode can answer that question.
Even if you haven't, you'd be like, well, I mean, like, if I'm getting attacked by something, probably like a hammer. I don't know.
Right.
Like,
and that's a good enough answer for me.
Yeah.
You know? And we can just have fun geeking out about that. And that's really all storytelling has to be. It doesn't have to be free. You don't have to memorize the Lord of the Rings canon to be able to play a fantasy game if you just want to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So we gotta kill why it's not cool. Yeah. And like, so in fact, one of our game rules that I'm going to be talking about on RPG.net in my next interview is like the rule of cool and how to reestablish cool in a game, which I have a feeling because their beards will, some of them, the beards match their chest.
They have the neckier.
Yeah, they're neckier. You know, look, they're cool, but I have a feeling they're going to set my pants on fire a little bit.
Oh, no.
You know? And so, like, I'm really going to be focusing on Rule of Cool. Because, like, look, it's a zombie apocalypse RPG. You've already suspended your disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on. Why can't we do some over-the-top stuff?
Yeah.
Case in point, I had a guy last week roll a luck save. Luck save is exactly what it sounds like. He rolled luck to save his ass. Okay? It's pretty simple stuff, right? And he rolled so well that he was, via explosion, he was blasted off the top of a semi, riding the shrapnel like a surfboard. Now, that's ridiculous, and it's not real at all. But look, the roll supported it. It was fun. Everybody was getting a kick out of it, and we were drunk. Mm-hmm. Isn't that the point?
Yeah.
Is the base game going to have, like, before you get into all of your expansions and the chapters, are you going to try to have it where it's like a free-for-all, or are you going to have somewhat of a storyline that new GMs can follow along, or is it going to be more of a creative side to it?
It's kind of really both. The cool thing about role-playing games is, like, nobody owns your story. You can really just do whatever you want, you know?
Yeah.
And they exist. I think this is, again, one of the neckbeard elitist things is they are really rule-driven. But there are only two kinds of game players. There are people who feel like they should follow the spirit of the rules, and there's people who feel like they should follow the letter of the law.
Okay.
Right? And I'm very much spirit of the rules. Like,
yeah.
He rode shrapnel like a surfboard. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun. Like, why not just let it happen, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, if you want to have a really serious game and you want it to be really dark, you can follow the chapters because they are dark. Like, we are not going to shy away from slavery. We're not going to shy away from, like, infectious, really brutal quarantine procedures. We're not going to shy away from rape and pillage and murders. There is a question of child molestation in one where you have to save a child or not. Yeah. And then all the chapters are written in such a way that if you have not done one thing in one chapter, it sets up consequences for others. Mm. So every story is not linear. It's more of like consequence based. And so, like, because look, it's the apocalypse.
Like a make your own storybook kind of RPG?
Choose your own adventure?
Yeah,
yes, no, it really is. Well, here's the problem with Pathfinder. If you play Pathfinder, it's built for lazy GMs. You get their story, you read through the story, you kill the dragon in the end, right? Mm-hmm. This isn't like that. This is more like, okay, if you do A, see this section in the next chapter, right? Okay. Because these are the consequences of this action, and the GM will have read forward like any good GM should. That's not even lazy GMs do that, right? And then you just play down the different versions of each chapter, and you end up in wildly different places based on the consequences of the way you choose. And I'm telling you, we're writing it so that every answer is a bad answer, right? So, like, it's the apocalypse. You're not supposed to live through it, right?
Yeah,
right.
So, case in
point.
point.
Yeah, no, I died when I was. Yeah. We were playing. Like, I walked up to a door, and we had gotten the door open, and I was like, I'm not going to check for traps. I'm going to just go, and like my head gets chopped off.
Dun, 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 the guillotine.
You did check for traps in a way.
Yeah.
In your life, I mean.
You should check for everyone else.
Hey, guys, don't go through here. I'm dead now.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, that one is... Okay, so you play Chapter 0, which is set up to train new people how not to die in Chapter 1. That's really all it is.
Okay.
It is part of the continuum... only loosely, in that you get, if you play all the way through it, you get the benefits of it to start with Chapter 1. So you can start slightly better off than everyone else if you play Chapter 0.
Okay.
Like, for example, you'll check for door traps. Just like
yeah,
right? But, like, it is not necessarily part of the canon per se. And then that gets us back to the creative writing part of it, right? So one of the things that I really want to do, and I think that no other games have taken advantage of, so we're going to do it, is... we have the great thing of social networking. Yeah. So between Facebook and Twitter, I have 3,000 people that love this game already, which is fucking phenomenal, really. Yeah. I mean, I really wish I freaking give to my Kickstarter, but maybe 3,000 broke fans or something.
Yeah.
We're all broke, what can I say? But really what it comes down to is these people will get a profile and then submit all their ideas all the time. Like, we have these things called easy buttons. Everything's got an easy button, right? It literally says easy on it. Like, we wanted it that simple. You click an easy button, and various things will happen. So, as a GM, you want to randomly generate a zombie. Easy button. Click, literally one click. Oh, this is my new random zombie. Or a whole herd, and they're all different. Easy button. Or a new survivor. Easy button, right? One of the things that's important to me is that if, let's say that you guys are writing your own story, and you guys write something and it's like par excellence, like you really like it, we're building a module generator where you can literally plug and play, like drop your story into a format, and then just release it for our whole community. And then they can just play your game. You
That's
get all
awesome.
the credit, everybody's names are attached to it. And these are the things that RPGs could be taking advantage of already and then just haven't.
Right.
Like, here's how, to give you an idea of the level of not taking advantage of technology we're at with games. Anything that you do out of a game is called metagaming, right? No one has a business name called Metagames Inc. The fact that me, at the bottom of the food chain, can pick that as our website, and to pick that as our business
That's
name,
pretty.
what does that say, right? It's not Madonna.com, you know what I mean? Like, nobody else should have it but Madonna, right? Like, that makes sense. So how did I end up with metagames.com, right? Because nobody's taking advantage of the change, because everybody's stuck in this old book publishing nonsense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, people that are, if they've been playing RPGs for a while, they're used to having the pencil and paper, the rolling in front of other people, we got our own story, you got your own story, we do our own thing, you do your own thing.
And that's what keeps the elitist neckbeard society alive, is the idea that they can always say, oh, well, my GM was better, or, oh, what we're doing is different than yours, or, oh, I can afford it and you can't. Which is, let's be real, that's truthfully why games are pirated, and that's why games still stay in like the kind of the dark recesses of the basement we were talking about. Yeah. Because the people who can afford it are what are playing. And there's a whole untapped market of people who like it, would love it if they had played it, but don't want to go down to the recesses of their mom's house to have to be able to play it, right? So we got to bring it up out of the dark, right? And one of the ways that we got to do that is we've got to meet, truthfully, and this is the one that I always get hisses and yells about, we've got to meet MMO players halfway. MMO players expect a level of technology. Like,
totally.
Seriously, why should you have to calculate how much food you ate that week?
Yeah.
Like, give me a break. My backpack ought to auto-calculate.
I know, yeah. Trying to keep track of, oh, wait, it's like the 4th day. Oh, I was out of rations like 3 days ago.
Right. Like, your character starved to death a week and a half ago. Oh, I'm going to keep on playing like it doesn't matter. Like, look, let me ask you a question. Once you've established where the zombies come from, right? And once you've survived, say, a couple games, what keeps you playing?
Yeah.
Nothing, right? You've discovered the whole story, let's say, and you've played through a couple of your GM's games, and you're like, okay, that's enough of that game. This game doesn't really have livability with one exception. If you do really like the character build, right, and let's say that there was a timer hanging over your head all the time, and you knew that if you didn't play the character, he would die of starvation, maybe you'd play the game again.
Yeah.
No, you might let him die. That's cool. I don't care. It's just a digital character. It doesn't really matter. But, like, what if our servers could just auto-calculate all that poor shit for you, right? So here's what it is. You log in, you play your character, and then the calculator starts. Now, we're going to tell you this one time at the beginning of your profile. Now, it'll take longer for your character to die of starvation if they're not being played, because it's a meta idea. Because technically, the character in its own reality is not doing anything. Yeah. It's kind of paused in time. But I like the idea that, in a way, you keep the game alive, almost in a meta sense, by logging in and playing every now and then. So
not to point to another website, but when I was younger and I was on Neopets all the character alone for months, and you come back and it's like, oh, your character is dying. You have to
That's actually the goal. Yeah. Because what's cool for us is that every time that you play a chapter, there will be time between this chapter and the next chapter in the temporal sense for the story, right? So that, like, let's say that you start playing 6 months in, at the end of the chapter, maybe it's been a couple years, right? And what's cool about this is everybody goes, oh, okay, well, how are you going to level the characters up? Are there going to be character classes? Are there going to be feats and XP? Yes and no, right? So in real life, you don't just, like, extraneously get feats, right? I'm not in the middle of, like, chopping down a zombie with a katana and then suddenly be able to decapitate all of them in a big swing. Like, achievement unlocked. Now I can, now I can coup de grace everything around me. Like, that's not how life works. The way that life works is you do, in a sense, get XP, and what happens is this kind of mythical mana-esque XP is given to one of your skills. Right? So if you join a martial arts and you train at a certain skill, your physique and your dexterity will be higher than that of somebody who hasn't. If you join the military, your targeting and your physique and your dexterity might be higher than a civilian, right? But if you're a firefighter, you maybe have all of them doing something else, right? So you will level your actual skills instead of your character. So your character will never be like level 2. It's not like that. But you might be really freaking good at hiding and targeting, which sets you up to be a sniper, right? So you go, hey, listen, I've got the skills for this. I'm going to hide in the bush and just cap everything that comes past you if you want to just be bait for a second, right? So like we felt like that was A, a more realistic way to deal with it, and B, sets you up so that, like, let's say that down the road, right, you max out freaking everything. Maybe you just really like the game and like you're like, dude, I'm gonna kill this game. Because you know there's gonna be the guy who like wants to, the same guy who had to beat Mario Brothers with one life. That guy, he's gonna play our game, right? And he's gonna max out everything. Well, here's the untapped potential of that guy. That guy's never been tapped by Nintendo for how he would make that game harder.
Right.
Why not? Right? That guy mastered the game. Maybe he knows a little thing about the game, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to take those players who like start leveling really high. We're going to go, hey, do you guys want to design some skills for us? Do you guys want to design like higher achievements and like harder stuff, right? And then we're going to just tap them as a team and have them just start building stuff for us because they know how the game works, right?
Yeah.
So what's important is that we really focus on the realism of the game, but also like the untapped meta potential of our clients and our friends and our buddies who are playing as well. So that's where that kind of creative edge comes in, and I really want that.
I was thinking too about how, like, you know how what you were mentioning earlier, how people are just going to copy the game and then they're just going to give it to people. So those people, when you were saying like having to meet halfway with the MMO, there's going to be like, you're going to sit at a table and half of the people are going to be on their tablets and their phones, and the other half are going to either they're going to want to get in on that because everybody else here has it, so they're going to get in on that online. Or they're going to have to get character sheets from somebody every time that they want to play.
Every time they want to play, yeah. They're going to like have to go, hey, will you please make me a character? Will you please print it out for me? Yes, there's an easy print button. Yeah, because I'm not a jerk. Like, because look, I'm not getting rich from this. You know what I mean? Like, why would I not make it accessible for you? You're going to print screen it anyway, right? So like, at least give it to you in a format that makes it easy for you. Because I got 2 ways I can do this. I can make you my enemy, right? And then you will steal my game and then find ways to shit on it and break it and basically dissolve it. Or I can recognize that you're probably going to do this anyway and accept that that's the reality and then go, hey, how can I make this game better? And just ask you, right? Yeah. And then you're going to be like, oh, I like this because at least they're trying to, and that makes people, I feel like when you have some warm fuzzies about something, you're more likely to help support it, right?
Totally.
Yeah. Right. So like, I don't give the American Cancer Foundation because I hate them. Yeah, right? I mean, like, fuck you, American Cancer, whatever. Here's $100. Go fuck yourself with it. Right. Nobody does that. So I feel like, yes, if you want to play on paper, that's cool. Case in point, like I'm not. People go, why isn't there a dice roller? Well, because we kind of lose the essence of the game if I build a dice roller. I was going to
ask that. Is there going to be a digital dice roller, or do you have to actually like be?
I want you to roll dice.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
look, that's way better.
There's 1,000 dice rollers on the internet. If you really just want to open up another page, just do it. But I'm not just going to give it to you because. Like, I like the idea, like, you know what I love about this podcast already is we were just sitting here talking about nothing, and it's mostly me, I realize I'm geeking out.
We're like tired of hearing each other anyway.
But I like that you can sit down with your friends and just have a conversation, and then other people can just enjoy this later, right? That's the beauty of the internet, right? So, like, why wouldn't games stay that way? My only problem with MMOs, they're beautiful, they're brilliant, and they're completely antisocial. Yeah. Like I seriously am not going to.
You have to have a LAN party. You have to like lug all your crap to someone's house and run off their internet.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Right. It's not going to happen. And like anyway, we all carry a phone. Yeah. So why not meet them halfway? Put the game on their phone. Let them sit across the couch from each other. And then like, look, I got a dice app on my phone where I shake my phone. And I can hit one button and go right back to my character. So if I really want to be lazy and just lay on the couch and play with my buddies, I never even have to pick up dice if I want to.
Yeah. Are you going to have this, is this only going to be like internet-based, or are you going to eventually create an app for this?
Okay, so you are the only person who has ever been smart enough to ask. Thank you, Cassie.
You hear that, listeners? I'm smart.
Listeners, let me just compliment the host here. Me and Casey have been buddies now for what, like 6 or 7 months?
Yeah, about that. I think, well, I don't even remember. I think you just like sent us an email.
Yeah, I
was working at the comic store, and you just like, hey, you guys want to?
Yeah, let me
come in. Like play a game here. Is that okay?
Am I allowed? Is that right?
Well, like I had a bunch of friends in Sarasota who were like, the only place you should go is Dark Side. But like, look, like, okay, this happens in 2 ways. Nerds go, the only place you should go is XYZ hole-in-the-wall game store, and then you get there and it's terrible. Like, It smells like a fart as soon as you walk into the place.
Oh, we
and
have
like,
a few of those around.
Oh, I know. I played with him. He, no, he's a cool guy, but just like, babe, just like, come on, take a bath. But he's an alright guy.
John.
Cassie said his name.
I'm not pointing any fingers.
Well, so like it's almost like every episode we mention our friend John, and so like now we gotta like talk about him.
Check mark.
It's off the checklist.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, like I got a hold of Darkside, and I went down there after meeting Casey on the internet, and she's a cool lady. So like we made friends, like I went down there, and the Darkside was like walking into a nerd's paradise, and I'm not just blowing smoke.
Yeah.
Like there's only, in my opinion, 2 game stores. I'll take that back. 3 game stores I've ever been in that I liked, and I'll name them. They are, of course, Darkside, because I just mentioned it, which is like the Valhalla of games. Like if you go in there, it's like it's lit. Listeners, can you hear that? It's lit. There are lights on in there.
Yeah,
it's
right?
awesome. Like you can see across the whole store. It's amazing.
Bright.
It's surprisingly bright, so you can actually read your character sheet unless you you don't need a flashlight to play. It's huge. There are a whole wall of games and a whole wall of comic books, and then the back whole end of it is nothing but tables, and they're just there for you to hang out. And I'm like, America seriously sucks for places to go hang out. Like, I've been to China, you can just hang out anywhere in China. There's couches everywhere in China. It's great. You can walk down the street and just sit down next to a stranger and strike up a conversation. In America, though, nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So you can go to Darkside and just hang out. That's fucking brilliant. Like,
Yeah, totally.
No, I love that store. And then the other problem with that is, like, a lot of times you go in a store and, like, the Neckbeard Society runs the place, right? And it's not that way at the Darkside. The Darkside, like, people are friendly, and they're like, yeah, I totally would love to sell you a comic book. Let's talk about it. Let's geek out for a second.
Yeah, right.
Everybody's, like, super cool. I love that, because it makes it easy. Mm-hmm. The next one, I mean, you can't go without saying it, and I realize it's a little rude to say right in front of the Darkside, but, like, Armada Games is the baller game store. Because, like, Mike from Armada was like, yes, I totally want to do this, and asked me hard questions about the game that I wasn't prepared for, that made me prep the game more. Mm-hmm. And so I gotta give props to that. And on top of that, they have the same idea that Darkside does. Like, let's make part of the store about the sales, and the other part is just about hanging out. There's a pizza place next door, just like there is at Darkside. It has all the amenities. And thank God they're not right next to each other, because they'd cause each other to go out of business. And they're brilliant because they cover both parts of Tampa, you know, without being in direct competition. Yeah. And I know that Armada's
they're like a good hour and a half.
Right.
Yeah. Drive apart from each other. Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't share customers. It's cool. I know that Armada can be a little hardball when it comes to business with other games, but other game stores, but they want to stay in business, so I can't really blame them, right? And then there's one in Orlando. I'm just going to give a shout out to my boy Nate if he hears this. A Comic Club in Orlando.
I've heard of them, but I've never been.
Dude, it's so much fun there. First of all, they have events all the time. They do podcasts and all kinds of stuff, and it is a quintessential hole in the wall, but it's brightly lit, which is nice. Yeah. And they bathe, so that's even better.
Yeah, right.
And it is definitely more comics than games, but they do run games there, and they support the community that goes to their game. Just like Darkside has a role players club and all kinds of stuff, like on Facebook. Yep. It's great. So, like, this is what helps those games survive, is places like Darkside.
Totally.
We were talking about something before I went off on that tangent. Right?
I don't know. Who cares?
I feel bad for people who, like, it's funny because living in Sarasota, just going to Darkside, I mean, obviously when I first went there, I was like, wow, they have a lot of cool stuff, but you get so used to it, you just expect that all comics and game
why aren't
shops
they
are
all
like
like that, right?
And yeah, like when my girlfriend and I went to North Carolina a few months ago, we walked into a place and it was just literally a counter that sold Yu-Gi-Oh cards and some tables for kids to play Yu-Gi-Oh at. And that was it.
Well, in North Carolina, though. That's what it looks like, too.
Oh,
sorry, bumped it.
We're good. All right. But yeah, I mean, they're even like, what is it, like, learn to play?
Yeah, learn to play is nice and clean.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's just, I walk in there and I'm like, where's all this stuff?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
it's more of like a place to play.
Yeah, we're spoiled.
Which is
nerds.
cool.
I mean, like, okay, so I have 2 experiences with Learn to Play. I have an experience with them in New Tampa and an experience with them in Brandon, and I will not be playing at their game store again.
Yeah.
And the reason is that the guy that helped me network in there to play originally was an awesome dude who just really loved gaming and, like me, wanted to, like, bring nerds out of the darkness, right? And then he set it up for me to play at one store, And I made a mistake. I have no problem taking responsibility there. I made a mistake, and I went to the North Tampa one.
Okay, yeah, they have a bunch of locations, and then I was trying to find.
Yeah.
Like the first time we went over there, I was
Right.
like going on Google, and I was like, I don't know if this is the
Yeah,
right
it's
location.
super confusing
Yeah.
because all their stuff says different places, right?
Yeah.
And like, well, you know, they're new though, so I'm gonna try to give them credit. So then I went to that one and I threw a game and like, okay, if I go to Darkside and I mention Armada, they don't get shitty with me because they understand it's a separate business. It's not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Like, dude, like I mentioned Darkside and I mentioned Armada, and this dude went off on me in public.
Oh
Weird.
no.
Like, just lost his shit in front of like 50 of my players, and pretty much just I basically told everyone in our group of 1,000 players, most of them based out of Tampa, that we'll never be going back.
That's rough.
So I mean, like, I'm just saying that, like, I recognize that they're a legitimate business, but maybe don't shit on your players.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's a bad idea for me. And look, I get it. Armada plays hardball.
Yeah,
with
and I
them.
can understand,
But,
like, especially because Tampa's a pretty large area, though.
Right,
and
it's
you
huge.
You're gonna, I mean, like, you might lose customers because one of your competitors has, like, maybe, like, 5 cents cheaper, but you can't, like, there's really no competition. It's like, you go where you feel comfortable.
Right.
And so if you go to a place and you're uncomfortable, you're going to find somewhere else to play.
You're going to go to, if you're in Tampa, you're going to go to Armada. If you're in Sarasota, you're going to go to Darkside. That's really all there is to it. They're losing the battle to Armada. Yes, Armada's playing hardball with them, but they're losing the battle because the elitist neckbeard society runs the place. And look, the guy in Brandon, I'm going to say it, he's awesome. And then they fired him 2 weeks later.
Oh, wow.
Right? And so, like, I didn't even get a chance to go to the Brandon store, which everybody says is way better. I'm not going to shit on it. It was just
I
my
think
one
that's
bad
the
experience.
location that we visited. We
Yeah,
haven't visited to any other learning
Yeah, our
place.
friend Joe is a fan of the Learn to Play location. Like I said, we went in there and it was nice and people were
Right.
pleasant and everything. I was just like, okay, there's just this one little wall of merchandise, which is fine. I mean, but it seems like it's more of a place to go to play, which is great. It's a good thing to have in your community.
Well, and they told me that their big philosophy was like, what is mine is just people who've never played, they want to make it inviting for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I totally got treated by the Neckbeard Society in that one place. So I was like, this is exactly the opposite of what you promised me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, maybe I had a bad experience, maybe I should try it again, but I'm just not going to. And that's how you lose clients, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
So I guess bringing it back to full circle, like, this is why when I met you, you were fucking phenomenally nice to me. And I was like, oh, I'm totally going to go down here and, like, if she's cool, all her friends are going to be cool. Because let's face it, you hang out with like-minded people, right?
Yeah, right.
You can kind of get a sense of how their friends are going to be from the way they talk to you, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I just really met you, right? And you're
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I try to be awesome.
well, we already geeked out about John Carpenter's The Thing, so, like,
Right,
now
yeah.
you're officially on my buddy list.
Yeah, I mean, it self-cultivates because, like, Cassie just started hanging out at the comic shop, like, a couple years ago.
Yeah, well, not even. Maybe like
She
a
just
year
like,
ago.
walks into the comic
Not
shop and
to
like,
mention John again, but
Yeah,
yeah,
right?
so like I walked in on tabletop day because I was like, oh, people play games together and not with family.
in public.
Ooh,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
public,
It's
right?
a thing.
Yeah, so I like walk in and then I walk in and John, who was been a regular for years.
Yeah.
He like helps with running
Stuff.
organizations and cleaning
Right.
up and like
Tons of
he's
stuff.
all there all the time. And he's like, hey, I don't know, you're a stranger. You want to play this game with me? It's awesome, and you seem like you would enjoy playing this game.
Right.
That's just like how everybody is.
Right. No, it's totally been my experience. I got to talk in front of a crowd there this last, and I get it. The Halloween thing was not like they weren't.
Yeah.
They don't quite know who I am, I think.
Yeah.
But no one was rude to me. It wasn't like, oh, he's from Tampa, I don't know him.
This
Yeah.
guy,
But
right.
it was like a lot of people came up to me later and were like, hey, listen, what's your Kickstarter? I totally want to get in on it. Like, let me join your Facebook group. It wasn't I would say it wasn't the best event for me business-wise, but it was really fun socially. Like, I met a ton of people, and it was,
Totally.
and like a lot of people joined my Facebook group from Sarasota now.
Awesome.
So like, I feel like it's more like an investment in my friendship down there. We're going to be trying
Community building.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going to be trying to get into Ringling's art school into
Oh,
their
that'd be
game
pretty
club.
awesome.
And then we're going to try to network our dark side people with our Ringling people so that we can not only help build dark side's like people, but also when we come to dark side be a little bit more relevant to their crowd.
Yeah, totally.
Because I think my only problem right now is I'm not a regular, so I'm not relevant yet.
Yeah, nobody knows. Yeah,
Right,
like,
exactly.
Like we mentioned earlier at the Halloween party. I mean, like you got to mention that you had the thing going on, but everyone's like, I don't know that guy. And
Right.
So.
Just a little.
And that's like you said. That's a problem with the community. Is like if you don't know someone, you're not sure if they're going to be that jerky
Right,
guy or if
right.
he's going to be like, yeah, come hang out with me, come play this game. It's
Yeah.
awesome. You seem awesome. Let's do it.
Right. I had both the pleasure and the smelly experience of sitting next to a guy who, like, I think that if given the opportunity, would probably be part of the society. I don't like, right? But if you give him the opportunity, though, to be your buddy and like feel like a social equal, he shaves his neck right away. You know what I mean? Like he's just ready to be accepted by you. And I think maybe that's one of the other things that keeps games too elitist is that the way that the rest of the world is treating them makes them feel elitist.
Yeah, that's true.
And we can kill that by just being super fucking nice to people.
Yeah,
you know?
it's just like a knee-jerk reaction, and it creates just another clique.
Right, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
like I don't know, man. Like I listen to European electronica. I came out of the metal world into like the most blasé, like almost operatic electronic, like shit that my metal friends are like, really, dude. And but now I'm capable of being friends with anyone. You know what I mean? Like now I've crossed all the genres. So I feel like a lot of times the cliques from high school live on into our adult lives because a lot of us don't know anything better.
Yeah.
Right? But we can change that by just being nice.
Yeah.
Right? So like that's why I liked Darkside so much, because I got down that you were cool, then everybody Darkside was cool, then everybody was maybe a little quiet or maybe a little bit shy because they didn't know how I was going to treat them, but the people I did meet were like, oh, you're an awesome guy, let me totally hang out with you. And now I've got a bunch of people on my Facebook from it because it's awesome.
How has your Kickstarter been doing?
So, we have updates and down days. Like it's like every.
Because I get the updates. Like you send like an email a day. You're like, guess what? Here's a paragraph of like what just happened.
I only talk in paragraphs. I don't know what a full sentence is. I only have a book for you.
Oh no.
Like no, seriously. Like talking runs in my family, and my dad is like, seriously, shut up. So we're talking about a guy who has a PhD in engineering and can wax poetic about engineering from the BC age, and he'll tell you a book of stuff, and then when I talk, he's asking me to shut up. By the way, this is my wife serving Chinese food to our guests.
Thank you.
Hooray, mainland Chinese food! So you guys get a taste of authentic China real quick.
Nice.
So if you like Asian, you're about to love this.
I'm actually going to pause for a moment. If you want we'll take a little break.
Sure.
I've been drinking a lot of coffee, so I got to.
And I've been talking too much. I'm sorry. No, that's okay. That's what it's all about.
All right, we'll be back.
Oh, thank you, Gigi.
Okay, so we're back from eating
Delicious.
Delicious food.
Yeah.
Waylon made us.
And now I have a fancy glass of wine, so I'm going to be extra fancier than these other two.
Make sure your pinky's out.
Yeah, right?
Ooh.
When in doubt, pinky out, right?
Oh, that's really sexual.
I actually was quoting SpongeBob.
Which is unto itself passively sexual. I'm telling you, watch the show.
Okay, so what I wanted to ask you, now that we're back, is I wanted to ask you, because we haven't touched on it yet, how you decided to, first of all, make it like a real game and put it to Kickstarter, and then how you chose like the whole follow-up of actually getting it to Kickstarter, and then...
structure and the timing, etc.
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you what, man, like nobody ever talks about this. There's a bunch of blogs like, this is how my Kickstarter went, that like 2 people read. You know, like it was me and like the guy who made it. So Kickstarter comes in 2 varieties. It comes in people like myself who are like, okay, I read a couple blogs and everybody has different opinions, so fuck it, I'm winging it. And it comes in the other flavor, which is my friends from Urban Heroes, Mateo, God bless him, who is like a data file, like created this like brilliant plan, and it got him $18,000. So
That's pretty cool.
I can't shit on it, but like he has a much bigger game, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, his game has actual books. It's at Pathfinder price, you know what I mean? Because but dude, that book is no lie, 1.5 inches thick, and it's hardbound. Like it's legit. Anyway, so okay, so this started 4 years ago. Me and my buddy were playing D&D, and they go, Jared, zombies are in all your games. Seriously, knock it off. And
no!
And I was like, well, you understand that the undead fit into every situation. And I just really love zombies, so I always put them in every game, even if it wasn't relevant. They were somehow in a side quest or whatever, right? So then the same friends, Dan and Breyer specifically, because I know they really would like to be recognized for that, and they deserve it, right?
Yeah, name dropping.
Right? What? My boys, B-Ray and Dan, were like, Jared, seriously, like, when are you going to make your own game? You've been playing for like 15 years and never thought to do this? And I was like, I suppose I should. I never thought to do it. I was just like, I just thought probably nice.
But that's a great thing, because then it's somebody else that's looking from the outside in that's like, you know, this shit could actually work, and you should probably do it.
Right. Why haven't you done it? It's like that's like this kind of post-thought idea that's like no, this is already a thing, you just haven't fulfilled it yet, right? Just like my argument with technology, like this is already a thing, we just haven't done it yet, right?
Yeah.
Like we can go to space, why haven't we? You know what I mean? Like, so I had that thought after they kind of imposed it on me, and then I did myself a blessing and I moved to New York so that my wife could finish up her college. And I was there kind of in a vacuum. Like, I'm Southern. I've lived in Florida for over 11 years. Like, you get down here, the pace of life slows down. Like, I'm not a Yankee anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I love Southern lifestyle. Dixie horns and all kinds of stuff. So, like, I moved back to what I like to think the center of all chaos in the world, New York. To Long Island so that my wife could finish college, and everybody there was moving a mile a minute, and I just was still Southern, right? So like locked into this like lifestyle of like, why is everybody so freaking out about everything? You cross the road wrong, people are honking at you. It's like, guys, take a chill pill, right? So like I had a solid year-ish to just watch zombie films, and I didn't have anybody to role play with, which is the first time in my entire life I wasn't just kind of regularly rolling dice with my friends, right? So that thought of why haven't I built a game kind of haunted me. And there's really only two people in life, people who do it and people who don't. And I wanted to be people who did.
I want to mention just briefly, because you said you didn't have anyone to role play or to
roll dice with, yeah.
Yeah, and so I know you briefly told me that if you don't have anyone to play this game with right here, you can go on your website and play with other people.
Yeah.
And just like be sitting in front of your computer and actually have a game and not have to try to travel anywhere.
Right. So like that's a real quick side note about that, and I'll get back to the story. What's great about Google is Google has like Google Hangout, right?
Yeah.
You can just jump on Google Hangout, roll some dice. They even have dice emulators there, all kinds of fun stuff, right? Yeah. So we're building our system to be compatible with Google Hangout, right?
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we're not going to support video chat, and we're not going to support text chat because honestly, like I don't want to be responsible for the weird things people do behind screens. That's not my business. Whatever habits you have are your habits, and like I'm a libertarian, it's not my business. Don't want to be part of it, right?
Right.
Because I don't want to be part of it, though. We're building the playability with Google Hangout so that you can like use that, and then on top of that, we have what is basically like. It'll work like this. I'm a GM. I'm going to hit a create, easy button again, create game, right? And then I've got all my contacts there, just like on Facebook. I'm going to click on my contacts, and I'm going to click an easy button that says invite. If my contacts are online, which they probably are, because let's face it, you're ready to play a game, right? They click their easy button, join game, right? So then as the GM, now I have access to all their character sheets. So let's say that guy A shoots guy B in the face with a gun. Right now, if we were playing on a table, I'd have to erase my stats, redo my HP. Not so with our system. Our system, the GM goes click, click, click on your character sheet, lowers your XP, and boom, on your phone, your tablet, your PC, uploads in real time, and you literally watch your XP change. Or let's say you get bitten by a zombie, 3 rounds later, you can roll the dice, tell the GM, yo, I rolled 1d4 rounds, it's 3 rounds from now, I'm taking this many new modifiers. The GM clicks an easy button, the background software does all the work, nobody has to do any hard calculations, and 3 rounds later, guess what? You start turning into a zombie, you watch it live.
That's pretty cool.
We really wanted the technology to be a cool end of that. That said, all those things will be in the rulebook if you want to play on a hard paper. So let's go back to how it started, right? So I'm in this vacuum of like just me and the wife, and like I love my wife, and she supports me being a nerd, which is just, you can't ask for more than that. So I didn't have anything else to do, so I thought, okay, since I'm kind of haunted by this idea, let me just go ahead and do the hard research, right? Okay. Let's look at other games, let's watch movies, let's boil this thing down to what it is, and then what do I hate about games, what do I love about games? Let's toss the shit I hate, let's put in the stuff I love. So that built kind of an alpha test game. I got back to Florida about 1.5 years later and started playing with my buddies, and they were really supportive. But the only problem with support is that sometimes support is by itself a vacuum, because they love you, and so because they love you, they support you, and they don't ask hard questions, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So like you build what I like to think of as kind of a broken system, where it's like, it works because my buddies understand it works.
Right, you've explained it to them firsthand.
Right.
So they don't need to think about it at all.
Right, so they just accept that that's the truth, right? Yeah. So then that brings us forward to why do we do Kickstarter and how do we become official and that kind of stuff. So it's like, okay, let's say that you want to be serious about it. It's grown out of your hands from the level of I play in my basement to the level of let's be serious and just try to do something in life. Like let's check it off the bucket list, right? So then that question is, if you ask that question, the only answer is you have to play with strangers. And that is so frightening because, by this time, I put my whole heart and soul into this thing. Because it's like, beyond going to work, it's like the only other thing I do.
Right.
So it's like, I love it. It's my baby. And my baby's got to walk now, right?
Yeah.
What if my baby touches the hot pan? Like, what if my baby falls down the stairs, right? So I started hanging out with some people who could ask me some hard questions. Those hard questions turned into a lot of redoing of the game, which took about a year.
Okay.
And that was painful. Not gonna lie.
Was
There's some nights where
Did you have to
losing
add
sleep.
things that you didn't
Oh,
back
man.
in? Oh no.
Yeah, it's like imagine building a set of stairs that are the perfect height for your legs. So every time you pull your foot up, you can step right the next step. But if a guy's shorter than you, he trips up the stairs. He just falls on his head. Imagine how bad that would be painful. And then the guy who built the stairs feels responsible for that.
Yeah.
So a gamer sits down and it's easy for you. It takes 5 minutes to generate a character, and then that guy takes an hour and a half. And then you're like, what the hell have I done?
Yeah.
Right? So we got through about a year of the game was limping literally like a zombie. It was an undead game. And then things started to even back out. So we're like, okay, alpha testing with the hard questions is done. So let's go and ask total strangers to play.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, that's a leap of faith.
It's a real test too.
It is. It's the acid bath. It really is. It will eat your game down to the skin and bones of what it really is about. It got rid of fluff. It also asked a lot of questions I never thought to ask.
Right.
And then that led to us playing at some local colleges in Tampa. Specifically, eGen and HCC was probably our best. We played at USF. We played at a couple conventions in Orlando and here in Tampa. And those were fun, but they weren't like our guys at eGen. eGen tore my game apart, but in a really constructive way. Nobody was a dick. Right. Nobody was like a neckbeard about it. They were just like, hey, we also want this game to succeed. Here's our ideas on how we can make this better. Yeah. And honestly, awesome. I think as an artist, there's only two kinds of artists, just like everything else in life. It's binary, right? So there's artists that want to compete and artists that want to cooperate, and I'm a cooperator, right? Mm-hmm. So I decided, I have two options. Again, I can ignore them and, just make this my homebrew, and then, no offense to All Flesh Must Be Eaten, but, that's kind of what it feels like. It's just, his idea, and he went forward with it no matter what anybody thinks. I got to high-five him for having, the guts to do it, but at the same rate, I feel like there's could have been more outside input put into it to make a better game, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what you have to do if you have a product that you want other people to enjoy. You have to find out what these other people enjoy. You can't just be like,
it's a no-brainer.
You don't like what I like, well, you suck.
It's a balancing act between keeping it true to what you thought you wanted to see in games while still giving people enough to interest them too.
Yeah. I agree, and I think the other thing too is that if you believe that your opinion is the only one that matters, you have not read Socrates. You know what I mean? You have to accept the idea that you are not the end-all, be-all of this topic. Right. I mean, I'm not George Romero. I did not invent zombies. You know what I mean? Right. I don't pretend to wear the zombie crown. You know what I mean? Robert Kirkman wrote The Walking Dead, and it's the most brilliant comic / graphic novel / novel, if you've read the novels, which are way better than everything else, / show that the whole world loves, and yet even he's listen, Romero's still the king. You know what I mean? Because there's still something quintessential about Night of the Living Dead, right? You have to understand that you don't wear the crown, and I totally don't. So I wanted the community to really help me build it, and then that's about the same time when the internet started doing crowdfunding, and people realized that YouTube was going to change the world. Right? And fuck TV when I have YouTube, right? I'd rather watch Vsauce because I know that guy really is that guy. You know what I mean? He's not an actor. He's that's really just this dude, right?
Yeah.
We decided that we were going to use Facebook, and we were going to use eGen, and we're going to use some other conventions to take this thing live, write down the comments people had, take note of it, and change the game based on what people thought. And I was told by other people in the industry, this is going to kill your game, this is going to get you away from the soul of it, you just need to do what you need to do, and they're fucking wrong. Yeah. This group built the most badass, most fun pick-up-and-play game ever. It's got, if you want the depth of the epic level characters you can create in 3.0 and 3.5 for D&D, which are my favorite epic level characters, if you want the depth of a GURP system, if you want the ease of a pick-up-and-play game and you want them all in one game, that's what our game is. because our crowd built it. They thought of things I could never think of. They told stories I could never tell.
And that's what Wayne's getting at. If you want something to succeed, you have to listen to the people that are going to be playing it with you.
And you have to not look at it as a situation where you have to make compromises. You're including.
Right, it's an inclusion. Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to find that, that's a great, it's not something like, I don't really care about that, but I'm glad, I'll put it in the game if it interests you. No, that's actually a really good point. I'm glad that you presented that to me because, I can see how that fits.
Well, especially for you, because you're trying to keep it really community-wide.
Right, I want a community.
If you want people to feel like they're a part of this, you have to listen to what they're saying.
Well, 2 points on that. One thing is that on our system, you're going to have a percentage of how much of you own of the game, right? And what I mean is, do you guys remember playing Metroid from Super Nintendo? And you remember that stupid fucking bar you could never get to 100% of all things discovered?
Yeah.
Anyway,
with your non-linear gameplay.
You bastards. You side-scrolling awesomeness. Anyway, you can't get to 100%. Don't even try on Metroid. That's a lie. The cake is a lie. Anyway, we wanted that. So we've now got, but you can get to 100, I promise. You've got a content bar of how much content you actually have downloaded into your profile, right? And that way you actually know how much you've done. And then on top of that, there's another bar. It's just literally like a video game, a little skill bar, right? It's for you, it's your skill bars, of how much you've contributed to the game, right? Hey, I've contributed this many times, and you can get to higher stats of contributors. And honestly, we'll start putting you in test groups. Hey, do you want to be on the Outer Reach project? Hey, do you want to help us work on the Hush Hush game lore? Hey, do you want to maybe be a part of a card game that I'm not allowed to say out loud yet? Do you want to help, right? So that's one thing. The other thing I wanted to say was that, when we're talking about a crowd, the whole genre of zombies revolves around a horde. Wouldn't it be stupid to ignore the horde of people that want to build it?
Yeah.
That's dumb, right? So I'm going to tell you an embarrassing story that just recently happened to me, right? So we've built this game.
Yeah.
We already opened up Kickstarter. We're done with the system, and we're this game rules. This game works. Everything is mechanically there. And then one of my longtime playtesters said, "Hey, why don't you just average the modifier skills and then take out 16 questions out of the little Facebook thing that creates their character, and then just use those average skills as their modifier, because the math is exactly the same." The great thing about math is it works both ways, right? But this way, it eliminates another 2 minutes on that little questionnaire, and you can be playing in 5 minutes flat.
Yeah.
Okay, so this guy, he's been playing with me for a year. It just dawned on him. I've been building it for 4, and talk about my face was red. I was how come I never had that thought? But imagine I would have gotten together $100,000 and decided I was going to be the next Pizzeo Games. I'm going to make the next D&D. I'm going to be the next Gary Gygax. And I get far into $100,000 of debt, and then I realize there's a faster way because one of my fans worked it out. And then now I have to pretend like it was my idea.
Yeah.
What kind of asshole am I?
Right.
Yeah.
Right? So this dude, straight up, I'm giving him the credit for it, right? Yeah. He found a way to slim our system down another couple minutes for the new player. Dude, that's all my boy Adam for the shout out. That's my boy Adam, right? And honestly, that's the level of humility that games need to have. Yeah, so let's do this as a community, right? That's what we did. As far as Kickstarter goes, I married a mainland Chinese woman, and let me tell you a little thing about the Chinese you may not know. They're human calculators. And the thing about human calculators is they're exceptional with how to make your life work mechanically, right? So I'm an artist. I'm really fluid in life. And if it weren't for her, I would not have anything. And
I'd be living in a tent on the road.
I'd still be surfing couches, you know what I mean? I'm a teenager, and dude, I'm 34. You know what I mean? Grow up, Jared. I can't so hard. Growing old apparently is mandatory, but growing up, not going to do it. It's voluntary, not happening. Right? Fuck all that. I'm going to play games forever. So my wife goes, look, I know that you're a geek, and you can nerd out all you want, but you have to make it make sense for us. Yeah. So if it's going to make sense, you have to justify the time that you're away with some level of finances, because otherwise you're kind of robbing our relationship with the time we could have together, or the finances for even driving to a convention or spending the weekend at a convention. If it doesn't make mathematical sense, honestly, you need to cut it out of your life.
Yeah.
And dude, that makes a whole lot of Confucian sense that I don't think had I had somebody beside me that could biasly look at it like a statistical thing we could do
Right.
if, right? So my wife said you have to make it make financial sense. So imagine like you're an artist and all you do is paint and draw zombies and have fun with your friends rolling dice, and then suddenly you're asked to make enough justifiable funds that it has to make sense for your life. Trust me, you don't sleep well after that, right?
Mhm.
So then I was really lucky, and I met these guys in Italy, Matteo and Alex, and they built this badass superhero game called Urban Heroes. Shout out to my boys at Urban Heroes. And Urban Heroes developed solely on their own funds over the course of 10 years the most badass superhero game I have ever played. Seriously, fuck all the other games. If you're not playing Urban Heroes, if you want to play a superhero, you're retarded. Because I'll tell you why. You're playing a superhero the way that the real world would look at it, like a NASCAR driver with the logos all over your suit. Imagine if Superman were powered by Exxon, right?
Yeah.
That you play a corrupt superhero in a corrupt world, just like the world really is. It's so legit.
That's cool.
So they blew up over here, and it's great. So they were like, Jared, you really have to do a Kickstarter. Now I've been eyeballing Kickstarter, but like, because I'm insecure about maybe how my game was going to evolve, because I'd just gone through that kind of acid bath we'd mentioned, I was scared.
Yeah.
Because like, dude, who knows if anybody else is going to love this game like I do,
Yeah,
right?
shit could get real fast.
Dude could get real fast,
Yeah.
right? And then what if I find out that everything I did is just terrible, right? Like, and a lot of terrible games have been made, and I didn't want to be that dude, right?
Yeah.
I want to at least be on par with, I played it, was fun, I don't really like it that much, but no big deal. Not like, fuck that game, I'm never playing it again, and you shouldn't either. I'd love to be the game that you're like, this is the end-all be-all of every game I've ever played, but I'm not Gygax, so I get it. That said, if I can shoot for the stars, at least I'll hit the moon, right?
Yeah.
So we set about doing our Kickstarter in the same vein Urban Heroes did. Matteo and Alex from Urban Heroes did such an awesome job that even Alex flew over from Italy just to hang out with me for a week. Like, you can't understand what it's like to have friends who will fly to the other side of the world to support you until you've met some guys like them. And like, they just really said, look, your game is so legit that people in Italy want to play it. Like, people in another country you've never been to want your game.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it makes you feel like $1,000.
Oh, totally.
And then we were like, okay, well, what realistically, truthfully, like a lot of games die on Kickstarter. So like, we did some research, and 90% of the games made suffer and die on Kickstarter. Kickstarter is the acid bath, and if you don't make it, you don't make it, right? So if people support you on Kickstarter, then you know that your game's at least legitimate enough that there's a crowd for it, right?
Yeah.
So like, I want to be in that 10% aisle. Will I be in the 10% aisle? We'll see, right? Right now, we're right on track.
And you've only just started it. You said you still have 23 days to
Yeah.
go for it. So so.
Yeah, we're at $1,400 in a week. So that means
What's your final goal?
5,000 actually.
Oh, okay. So you're wow.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, I had some buddies who they're the core guys, right? They love the game so much that they're like, they would give 10 grand, right? So they were like, you should shoot for 10 grand. I appreciate you, Matt. Right, you should know that I love you, dude. And Beck, I love you for like just loving me through it. And Andrew, you're like super supportive, and I get it, dude. But like, we've got to do something that like truthfully total strangers will support, right?
Yeah.
Total strangers who don't love your game and will really tell you the honest truth have got to realistically come out of their own pocket from their own hard work and support your game. So you got to ask yourself, what is what's your real goal, right? So, like, truthfully, after doing some research, we landed on $5,000. And we'll make it, I think, because I got a pocket investor just in case. You know? So, like, it's not terrible. They're not going to come out of their pocket more than a couple bucks if they don't have to. So, like, it could still fail. But if we reach a par enough that, like, we know it's going to succeed, then they won't even have to put it, right? So we came up with a whole financial thing, me and the wife, again, human calculator. And we decided it has to be this amount in this many days and this amount in that many days. You have to have so many odd followers. And honestly, the magic number is 1,000, right? If you have 1,000 followers, you're going to get 10 of them to give. Like, if you get 3,000 followers, 30 of them give. If they all give $100, you know what I mean? Like, you start doing the math.
Percentages, yeah.
Right, it really is.
Yep.
And dude, I got no hate for people who can't donate. We're all broke. If you can't even give $1, totally understand it. But people who can't give always share.
Yes.
What's awesome about this crowd is even if they can't give to you, they believe in you and they push it to all their friends.
Yeah.
Man, our group after Omni Expo this year, it went from 250 to over 1,000 in a weekend.
Yeah.
Because people are like, I love this so much, I'm adding all of my friends.
Right.
Yeah.
So 5 or 6 people do that, boom, you're at 1,000 people, right?
Yep.
So that's really truthfully what gave us the hope that Kickstarter would work. And day 1, we had $250. Day 4, we were sitting at 700. Day 7 or 8, we were just over 1,000. So we're sitting at 1,400 right now, or just a little under it. Definitely, the beginning of Kickstarter is easier on you emotionally, but harder on you for your time. Into your
like getting all
Kickstarter,
the setup and whatnot.
yeah, it's harder for you to do, but people are excited, so they give quickly.
Yeah.
If you get into about a week and a half, it slows down because people now know it exists, so they're not as excited. But I've been told by many people on Kickstarter that the end of your Kickstarter is like gangbusters because people see the clock counting down and they start making their finances
Yeah,
work.
absolutely.
Right?
I've seen that.
Oh, the other day I was
Yeah.
like, oh no, I missed the Kickstarter. Oh,
Right, you get upset about it.
You think that you had all this time.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I've already had people go, hey, listen, if I miss the Kickstarter, where can I give you money? Right?
Yeah, yeah,
And like, so I set up a Facebook donation page. You can like
that's
totally
cool.
just give me money if you want to.
That's
Can I
nice.
ask why
Yes.
you chose to go with Kickstarter instead of Indiegogo, or why
Yes.
not both?
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so
Just for in case
yeah.
listeners don't know the difference with Kickstarter, if you donate, you only actually donate the money
If it succeeds.
if it succeeds,
Yeah,
right?
with Indiegogo, you are literally just donating money.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if
Paying
it's
them, funding them as they go.
Right.
Yeah.
So the legit thing is this, like, I could go in Indiegogo for the next year and go to conventions and make this work.
Right.
So, you know, plan B, right? But plan A is to not be the guy who stays in the basement, right? I want to, if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly, right?
Okay.
I'm going to come out of this basement, I'm going to bring this game to the light of day, and if it suffers and dies, it's because the game is not good enough,
Yeah.
right? If we do, you can do 3 Kickstarters, right? So Kickstarter round 2, you better believe I'm going to come back like a bigger, meaner grizzly.
Totally.
Kickstarter 3, if I have to, I'm going to be a dire grizzly. You know what I mean? Like, I'm
Now,
going to
what's
kill
great,
it.
because I've known a couple of local people that are slowly starting and they decided like immediately to have a Kickstarter.
No, don't do it.
Yeah, and it's really hard, and it can, like what you said, it can be discouraging if you
Yeah.
don't get what you're looking for. And so
Right.
I know you did a lot of research, and you even changed your launch date.
Three times.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay, I thought it
3
was just like that.
Well, we're a year behind.
Oh, really?
We were supposed to do it last Halloween.
Okay.
I've changed it 3 times. Just on this Kickstarter alone, I've pushed it back twice. So yeah, let me tell you, if you're a new Kickstarter guy, don't go to a website and look up somebody's like why my Kickstarter didn't succeed or why my Kickstarter did, because it's only opinions.
Right.
Here's the legit stats. 1 in 10 people will give you anything, and 1 in 10 people will give you 10 cents on the dollar. It's a painful truth. Your game sucks until other people tell you it doesn't suck. Okay, your game lives in infamy until somebody's playing it, and that's the truth.
Right.
If you think it's good, you're the only one. And if other people tell you that it's good, that's when you know it's good.
Right.
You must gain the acceptance of your peer group to know that your peer group will buy it. Period. I want the acceptance of people who are in the game industry who will go, okay, well, maybe your game could be better, but let's not let perfect get in the way of good.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, let's make this thing function. So, factually speaking, we decided Kickstarter was going to be the acid test, and that's what we did. So far, we've had 24 backers that put us over $1,400. Weirdly, the donation that's most popular is $100.
Nice.
Which is crazy, because, like, the math told me that the donation that would be best would be $25.
Okay.
No, we're killing it at $100. And $100 means if you donate it, I'll write you into the canon. You'll be an NPC. I'll even make you a miniature, right? We're gonna go
miniature would be like this big grizzly beard looking
right.
man.
Dude with like the hugest beard ever.
Stick figure with a beard. A really articulately sculpted beard.
It's like this is all you are.
All the detail.
Just beard and bones.
Yeah.
That's what your chapter's gonna be called, is beard and bones. But like, okay, so like, there's that, and then the next one is really that, we're going to do some stuff with my friend Bug Out Beck, who's working on becoming a YouTube partner. He does everyday survivalism, so like stuff that you probably ought to have in your car just in case it breaks down, so you don't have to be such a pussy on the highway. Like, here's how you change a tire. Here's how you bug out of town if things go sideways on you. Here's how to appropriately put together a survival kit that doesn't just involve sawed-off shotguns. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, let's cut the bullshit out for a second. If you're going to be in a disaster situation in Florida, it's not going to be zombies, it's going to be hurricanes.
Right.
So cut the horse shit, right? So we're going to be doing a camp out trip where you just bring your bug out bag.
Oh, cool.
And then we just go and camp out for a weekend, right? And you just live out of what you brought.
Oh,
right?
no.
And that's it.
I'll be like,
So
look at my big ass suitcase I brought. I'm like,
right?
lugging
So like,
suitcases
we're
around.
going to partner with a couple other people. We got an indie musician out of Canada called Omnitrex who does dubstep and electronic, who's going to be doing all our background sound effects for all the
that's pretty
chapters.
cool.
You can just have the music for free. We don't even care.
Oh, cool.
We're partnering with Haunting Season to do some meta videos that are related to the game that you can only find when you play down a chapter and you click on a link and it takes you to this back end of YouTube where these other videos are going to be. Yeah. We're partnering with Urban Heroes because we're helping them build a digital system that's all in English. We're doing just what we want to do is we want to reach out to other indie artists and show you a path that's easy enough to do it. I'm commissioned on 8 Roads to RMR and Voidwalker just as a writer and artist, and I'm going to help them do their Kickstarter just because I just want to see it happen.
Right.
So if you're going to do a Kickstarter, do this. Don't do it, and then find yourself a group of 1,000 people to follow you. And if you can't get 1,000 people to follow you on Facebook, you can't do a Kickstarter. That's honestly the truth.
I mean, it's true.
You can't do it. Right.
And Kickstarter's so brutal. There's so much on Kickstarter.
Oh,
right.
It's like huge market.
It is, dude, it's trial by fire.
Yeah.
So if you are so afraid of Facebook that you can't get 1,000 people to help you, then I'm sorry, you can't do a Kickstarter because you will fail. And somebody's got to tell you the hard truth, and it might as well be a guy who's suffering through it right now, right? But that said, my 1,000 people on Facebook and 3,000 people on Twitter, I built over the course of a year. That was part of the plan that me and my wife set out. Hey, it's going to take XYZ amount of time. Dude, I'm even a year behind. We pushed it back a year. My wife was flexible enough with me to let me kind of geek out just a little bit longer to show that it could really be done. And I did the hard work. I reached out to people like Cassie at Darkside and now find myself with a lot more friends than I even knew the world had. The world is not a small place. Take one flight internationally, you'll see how big this planet is. There's plenty of people who can support you, but if you're not willing to do the hard work, it will not succeed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at with it. So let's kill Kickstarter and then launch this game and get some content out there, you know?
Yeah.
We have like a few minutes left, maybe like 4 or 5 minutes. Is there any last things that you want to talk about your game, or like what's the best if someone wanted to other than your Kickstarter, of course?
Right.
Is there any other places that you would push them to check out, get more information about what's going on from Metagames?
Yeah, for sure. So the name of our little business is Metagames Inc. I don't know why it's not been taken. You'd think by now somebody else would own it, but I don't. I own it. Metagames Inc. See our website, Metagames Inc., just as it sounds. Right now, the only thing you'll see up there is Remain Calm, but we have 5 other games lined up, Outer Reach being the majority of that. The next thing is, like, if you're a Facebook fan, definitely look up Remain Calm, the like page, but truthfully, like, the like page isn't even really where it's at. You know, like, the like page exists because only so you can like it.
Right.
Right? The truth is, I'm a person you can reach out to right now, and you can be my buddy right now, right? And if you want to do that, look up Remain Calm Survivor Group. It's called Survivor Group because these are the people who survived the play testing.
Right.
There's 1,000 of us in there. I boot haters, so like there's nobody in there that's going to talk shit at you, like, or poop on you for never playing, or poop on you for an idea that maybe we hadn't thought of. That's not going to happen. Yeah. I boot them. And they know there's a no-nonsense policy. Somebody talks shit, they get booted. Mm-hmm. So you can get in there and you can make friends. I've made tons of friends, as Casey knows now, just doing this. So just look us up on Facebook. And I'm, like, personally active on Twitter at I Smell Zombies. I thought that would be a cool little Twitter handle, I Smell Zombies. Because let's face it, you're going to smell them before you see them. So just Facebook, Remain Calm Survivor Group, Twitter at I Smell Zombies. Or Metagames Inc. We even set it up so that it just updates through Facebook, so they're in the Facebook feed, so you might as well just go there anyway, right? Gotcha. And that's it, guys. I just, please support our Kickstarter. Oh, the Kickstarter link is Kickstarter, of course, / projects, because it's project, and then Remain Calm Zombie Apocalypse Role-Playing Game. Or you can just search Remain Calm RPG. Trust me, I'm the only one with this title. So.
And then what we'll do is, because we have a website, a blog that we host links to, so we'll have some links so that people, if they want to do a quick, easy click on the Kickstarter, click on your website. Yeah. So we'll have those for any listeners that want to do.
For sure.
Totally.
So, and then I'm gonna blow Waffle Boat out of the water with my group and be like, oh my god, it's
literally Waffle Boat out of the water.
I'm gonna jump the shark.
I'm gonna make this game jump the fucking shark. Nice. I'm gonna take it to my group and we're gonna blow this thing up. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out at my house tonight.
Yeah.
And
thank you for inviting us and your wife and all the food and a little bunny hopping around.
Well, hopefully I can come and do an update after Kickstarter's over.
Yeah,
for sure. And then obviously I will catch up with you guys at Darkside and we'll play some games. Cool.
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
All right, guys.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody.
We'll
see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.